This video is going to be a little bit of a departure from the typical types of videos where I at least attempt normally, outside of draft coverage, to show some film, break down film, tell you what I think I see, let people respond in the comments, and we try to work toward some type of conclusion about what a team or a player is doing in terms of concepts and techniques. This is going to be a drastic departure from that. The origin story of this video is related to the schedule release, specifically the 5 games that will be played in Europe in 2023. I think 3 games in London and 2 in Germany. And it kind of grew out of my thoughts on that, which I'll kind of reveal a little bit later in terms of my personal thoughts. You can probably predict it if you've listened to much of my content in terms of my concern about player safety and the integrity of the game. What I mean by integrity is the ability of the players and coaches to actually put a quality product out on the field, given the parameters that are sometimes ridiculous in the way the NFL stretches the fabric of the game. So having said that, let's move to the content of the video, which is going to be related to something that Roger Goodell talked about in October of 2022, and that I think at least one other NFL owner went off the record talking about, which is their admission that a 4-team division in Europe is within sight, or might be within their plans. Let's put it that way. Now, who knows, at what time that will be, 2026, 2028, 2032. I think the NFL at this point is going to its 15th year of actually playing games in Europe. And I can actually see it happening, 4 teams in Europe, sooner than we think. These games in Europe, like I said, I think there's 5 scheduled in 2023, 3 in London and 2, I believe, in Frankfurt. And it makes sense. If you look at the map of Europe and you look at the distances between some of these cities, it's really not that dissimilar between some of the cities on the East Coast and the West Coast of the United States. But in terms of population size, just raw population size, could London support 2 teams? Well, I think London proper is like 9.4 million, something like that. The large urban zone, I think, is what it's called. And I've never been there myself. 12.8 million, somewhere around in there. I could be wrong on that number, but Munich, Frankfurt, and Germany, places between 1 and 1 million in the cities, but between 3 and 5 million of the metro areas. Could they support a team, over across the English Channel? Certainly, Berlin looks like one that could, with 5 million people in the city. I think it's 4.5 million. Metro, almost 5.5 million. Places like Paris, Madrid, don't think there's any, demand for that. It seems to me like the NFL is testing out London and for 2 teams, and Germany for 1 or 2. And as we work through the video, you let me know what you think of it as the video premieres and/or in the comment section. Look, London is clearly the plan for 2 teams. It seems like to me. I think Goodell even said it in that Sports Illustrated article. Wembley Stadium has got games, and I think that's where Jacksonville Jaguars kick off the international schedule this year on October 1st before Tottenham Hotspur hosts the Jags and Bills 1 week later. To me, this is a test case, and I mean this with the Jags, for what logistics a visiting team would face pulling a doubleheader in London. And in this case, in this scenario, the Jags are the visiting team. They're the team coming over to London and playing 2 road games against 2 different teams housed in London. Then the Ravens and Titans, I believe, play at Tottenham, the 3rd game in London. And I think the soccer club there, I'm not a huge soccer person, to be honest with you, but I think the soccer club there, Tottenham's 10-year agreement with the NFL expires after the 2025 season, I believe. So the agreement, I believe, was to host 2 NFL games a year at minimum. And like I said, I think that expires after the 2025 season. I think they signed it in 2015. If you don't know, that's the first stadium designed for NFL games outside of North America. First one that was built or constructed with that in mind. It's got a retractable, there's pictures here showing, it's got a retractable football pitch, or soccer pitch as we call it in North America, and underneath of it is the synthetic field that the Ravens will play on against the Titans, and other teams have played on already. I think before that 10-year agreement expires, which I think is 2 years after this 2023 season, so 24 and 25, I think we'll see 6 games in London and Germany combined. I could see a team being scheduled for 3 games there in the future. I do. 2 in London and 1 in Germany. I think that could test out how a visiting team could handle being there for 3 games in a row across the pond. Personally, I would object to that. Personally, I don't think that retains any integrity of the game. I think it stretches it beyond all comprehension. But there's another agreement that coincides with this, along with the NFL and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium agreement. I guess it coincides, overlaps a little bit. That's the NFL's commitment to play regular season games in Germany from 2022 to 2026. I believe ends after 2026. So I think you got a 1-year difference there between those two deals. Maybe I'm figuring this wrong. Let me know in the comment section if I am. But it seems to me like there's 2 deals set to expire, 25-26, between the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And look, it's a retractable synthetic field. It's not going anywhere. They're gonna reach another deal. Look at the way that it's made. Just look at the construction of it. That's not going to change. The NFL and Tottenham Hotspur are going to come to another agreement. It's just numbers and logistics they're agreeing on. I don't think they're arguing about another 0 in the beginning or end of the number, if you will, in terms of the agreement monetarily. I think they're just arguing about logistics and what they're going to do next. And I think that's why an announcement hasn't been made. The NFL's commitment to playing regular season games in Germany, to me, seems like it follows thereafter. Seems possible to me, like I said, given that, Goodell basically said it and another owner kind of leaked it, that those 2 agreements could align with some type of announcement that moves the league closer to having a division over there. I don't think it's a 2026 thing. But I don't think the NFL just puts one team over there off the jump. I really don't. I don't think they just start with one team, because then what does a North American football team do? Travel over there, play one game, and come back? I feel like that's an inefficient use of time. These teams like the Jags, again, I think are being used as a test case for how it would look if you go over there for 2 weeks. Certainly there's logistics, passports, a home team being in England with different tax rates, and Germany with different tax rates as well, certainly creates some issues, no doubt. There's a language barrier in Germany that I guess there's a language barrier in England too. But in any case, I still think it's something that NFL is going to pursue. I don't think that we're going to be able to really have any say in it, somewhat similar to Thursday Night Football and the 17-game regular season schedule. It's just going to kind of be forced down your throat as a football fan, and you either accept it or you don't, but it doesn't matter. All right, so you could create, this is an example of creating a 4-team pod that is somewhat sloppy on my part, so feel free to criticize it. Really, I guess it's a 16 pod here in a moment, but just an example. Week 5, theoretical situation, the Patriots and the Colts play in Germany, while Tottenham North, which I think it's North London where that stadium is, and then Wembley, the London team, LON here, they play whatever these teams are called. That's why I have this the stadium name, initially at the beginning here. But that's week 5. So you've got 2 North American-based teams and 2 British-based teams playing, creating a 4-team pod. We're going to expand it here in a moment. Very next week, the Patriots and the Colts, they stay in Europe, and they visit the British teams. They visit the English teams. So you'd have the Patriots at Tottenham North and the Colts at Wembley. Bring the Jets and Dolphins over, let them play in Germany. And you can see what's going to come next in week 7. But now you've got a 16 pod created here, all members of the AFC East. Now what division do you put these British teams in? We'll get to that in a minute, but I don't have an answer there, just to be honest with you. So in any case, these 3 games are played in Europe. First time 3 games are played there, I guess. The very next week, the Patriots and Colts cycle out. Week 7, they go home. They go back to North America. You let Tottenham and Wembley's teams, whatever they're called at that point, stay at home. And obviously the Jets play one of those 2 teams, and the Dolphins play the other. So you've got a 3-week situation where the British teams are home, and 4 different North American teams have come there for a period of 2 weeks. The Jets being the lagging team, the Colts and the Patriots being there first. That happening in week 5, maybe it's smarter to do that in week 3 or week 4 or however they do it. you can certainly see that with very little effort on my part here, I was able to create some type of a pod situation that I think the NFL has got people way smarter than me and way smarter than you as well, even though I'm sure you can poke holes in what I just did, that could figure it out in a manner that's even better. Now, with 4 teams over there, 2 in England and 2 in Germany, probably gets a little more difficult, but perhaps having 4 teams over there actually gives them a little bit more options. But in any case, let's move on to what division would 2 new teams go in? You can't, like Goodell said, you almost have to create a new division. That's probably why he mentioned that. You can see how simple it would be to bring over 2 American teams at a time, cycle them through, like I showed you, the fictitious week 5, 6, 7 example. Travel really wouldn't be an issue if you let teams stay there for 2 weeks, like Jacksonville. Clearly, the NFL would figure out a better plan than I did. Passports, salary, all of those things, definitely an issue. Home teams in Britain or Germany, for that matter, you'd probably get some pushback from certain players. You're talking about drafting guys 20, 21, 22 years old who don't have those language skills. I expect at some point the NFL just to go ahead and get everyone in the league to get their passport, number one. Number two, I also think it's possible that the NFL creates some type of Olympic villages or neighborhoods for road teams to use in the next 2 or 3 years. Now, maybe something like this is already there. This just seems like a natural idea for me. Kind of a rudimentary pick there. I don't even know what Olympic Village that is. You guys can correct me if you know it in the comment section. But think of it this way. Teams coming over don't have to figure out hotels, how to travel across the city. You know, they're already kind of housed near the practice field. I don't even know if those facilities are available, but it seems to me that it will be an easy solution. I shouldn't say easy, a simple and direct solution. Create an Olympic village or some type of village that houses the players while they're over there as a visiting team. And if the NFL builds them in Germany now, for the American teams to use as a cycle through, it kind of stands to reason that the next 2 home teams, maybe one in Frankfurt and one in Munich, would use those facilities eventually as their own. Kind of solving some of the logistical problems. I mean, maybe that doesn't solve them. That's just an option. Maybe you can come up with a better one. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. Would the NFL jump in with 4 teams immediately? Probably not. I would venture to say you're probably going to get 1 team in London and 1 in Germany, or 2 in London. I think 2026 is too soon for 4 teams, but it wouldn't shock me if they did two teams at all, because the owners are looking to make money. I think the pandemic season, they are constantly trying to recoup money. This is a theory of mine that post-pandemic season is when we saw a ton of Thursday night football, more Thursday night football, more of a commitment to it. Additionally, that's when they went to the 17-game season. If you're unaware, state high school athletic associations across the country have done things to kind of recoup money as well, because they didn't make any money for over, I guess, almost 2 years. Because there's a lot of sports that just don't make money from a fan base anyway, baseball being one of them. But in any case, these high school organizations, some colleges, and I think the NFL are trying to recoup money that they view as lost. 2028 probably seems like a more likely situation for an expansion team, because you're going to get renewed deals with Tottenham and probably another agreement with Germany. Like I said, it expires in 2026. I think you're looking at possibly 2 expansion teams, Tottenham being the clear choice, and whether Wembley is the home field, home stadium for the other one, or whether it's in Germany. I don't know. All right, another issue that I think is probably going to come up from a lot of people is, could the talent base actually serve 2 new teams? I actually believe that it could. Already, the game day roster's too small. It's too damn thin, if you ask me. There's no reason why 3 quarterbacks can't be available on game days. Could another 2 quarterbacks somewhere in the NFL start in the league? Sure, they could. The San Francisco 49ers were just successful with 3 different guys at quarterback in the 2022 season. Now, I know there's people who are going to say they weren't real successful with Trey Lance. I suspect that if he played against some of the teams that Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy did, that Trey Lance would have had a similar level of success. That's a belief of mine. Obviously I can't prove it. I think certain positions, wide receiver, corner, running back, are places that have enough talent to warrant 2 more teams. This is just a theory, a general theory that I'm operating off of, and feel free to deconstruct it or pull it apart more college and high school teams play a base nickel defense than ever before, 5 DBs. And more college and high school teams throw the ball at a higher percentage clip than even 10, 12, 15 years ago. It's just a fact. We can look at the run pass percentage. We can see that. The fact that there's now 5 DBs on the field, a whole hell of a lot more, especially in high-level college football. When the offense goes 11 personnel, the defense, whatever their base is, 4-3, 3-4, they're going to respond with nickel defense. And a lot of these defenses are already operating from a 4-2-5 personnel grouping. So they're already on the field. They're already ready for 11 personnel because they're seeing it about 65% of the time anyway. In some cases, places like the Big 12, I think they're seeing 11 personnel like 72% of the time. What's my point? Why am I bringing that up? More DBs are playing more, period. From high school, college on up. They're on the field more often than they were 15, 18, 20 years ago or even before that, where 11 personnel wasn't seen nearly as often. For me, personally, my experience with the spread offense started 2005. So I saw that there's just more DBs on the field against us because we're running the spread. Even in high school, as a high school student, our high school team was a run and shoot team. They were a run and shoot team for like 9 years. We saw different defenses played because people were taking defensive linemen off and getting another DB on the field because we literally had 4 receivers on the field and 1 running back and 1 quarterback. So I think those positions, just because the way the game is played at lower levels, the way the game is coached at a higher level, wide receiver, corner, and running back, to me, seem like places that have surplus positions that could be used in the event that there is 2 expansion teams. Now, let's do it the other way. I feel like O-line, maybe interior D-line, linebacker, inside linebacker, those seem like positions where there isn't as much depth to me, and I could be way off there. I might be wrong, but in either case, I'm just not someone who thinks the league couldn't handle 2 more teams from a talent-based standpoint. I think there's guys who can be successful, and there's guys who can be used. The coaches just have to do a better job of figuring out how to use them. Too many coaches are set on running what they run, and they don't take into account the talent they have and what their players are good at. And in my opinion, there's a lot of coaches who try to fit square pegs into round holes instead of finding out the best fit for a guy, what his skills offer the team, and trying to utilize those skills in a way that helps everybody else, helps that player succeed, helps the team score more points, or stop someone from scoring points. Could the talent base handle 4 more teams? No, I don't think so. Not right now to me. Maybe your opinion is different. Maybe your opinion is different on the talent-based question. Maybe your opinion is different on the logistics of a team being in North London and another one being based in Wembley. I feel like the population of London, Goodell is right. I don't like to give him credit on a lot of things, but he's right that the population size of London warrants 2 teams possibly being there. You know, maybe one in North London, one in Frankfurt. Do you think those challenges are just too much to overcome? Certainly for 4 teams, it appears as if there's a lot more challenges, but I think it also offers some benefits. Does the NFL even want to have 2 teams there or 4? I think they do, and that's the cynical side of me. Now we'll kind of change a little bit of the tone of this, to be honest with you, because personally I don't really want to see a single expansion team overseas, but it sounds like it's a foregone conclusion. The NFL has shown me with Thursday Night Football and the 17-game schedule that I don't think they care about stretching the integrity of the game, and I don't think they care about the health of the players. I just don't. I don't think the NFLPA does either, so don't get it twisted. I don't trust any of them, and I don't trust the words that come out of their mouth in terms of integrity of the game, improving the game, or keeping players safe. I think it's just about making more money, and I think that applies to the NFL, the owners, and the NFLPA. Let me know what your thoughts are on any of those elements, any of the things I talked about. Expanding to NFL Europe with 1 team, 2 teams, or 4, an entire division. If you think it's something the NFL wants. If you share any of my cynical views, and I'm very cynical about it, that anything these organizations, the NFL, NFLPA, the owners do, anything they do will ultimately be determined by just one thing and one thing only, making as much money as possible for themselves, irrespective of player safety, integrity of the game, or what any of our complaints are about either one of those things. With the schedule release, this was something that my brain began to think about as I was riding the car, and I decided to make a video on it. It's going to be a little off center from what most people are talking about today. I'll do some schedule summary videos for the Ravens, Lions, and even the Texans, probably on Friday afternoon, Friday evening. Appreciate you guys. If you listen to all this video, please let me know what you think of it in the comment section. While it premieres or after it posts up, consider commenting to help the video get more reach.